Pro-life organizations in America are being vandalized. We're asking one state official to take back her public statements and please enforce the law. Hi, I'm Stuart Shepard, and this is First Liberty Live. Every week, the First Liberty Insider email gives the latest insights and analysis into what's happening with religious freedom all across America. It's free. You can subscribe at firstliberty.org, firstliberty.org. Just look for the subscribe link, and we'll send that out to you. You'll find it very helpful. Andrew Beckwith is president and general counsel of the Massachusetts Family Institute. We are working together with them to protect pregnancy resource centers in the state. Hi, Andrew. How's it going?
Hi, Stuart. Going well.
Good to see you. For those who may not be familiar with the term, first, would you define for us what a pregnancy resource center does?
Sure. It's kind of the opposite of abortion clinic in a sense that it's a place where women who are facing an unplanned or perhaps unwanted pregnancy can go and learn sort of all the other options besides abortion and get help and support, not just counseling and parenting classes, but also just the practical necessities like diapers and wipes and formula, which can be hard to come by nowadays, baby carriages, things like that.
And it's all from a pro-life perspective. I mean, that's the foundation for the whole thing.
Yeah, they're overwhelmingly faith-based organizations that do this because of their belief in God and that every one of us is made in His image. So they're usually volunteer organizations or nonprofits that are funded by donations. And at least in Massachusetts, all the ones that we're working with are religious in nature.
And it's that faith-based portion of that is why First Liberty got involved with this. With you and defending them, because that's our mandate and our mission is to watch out for religious freedom for all Americans. Let's go back in time just a wee bit, just to this summer. The Supreme Court hands down the Roe v. Wade, or the decision that overturns Roe v. Wade, the Dobbs decision. And then the Attorney General of Massachusetts issues a public letter and I'm putting in air quotes, consumer advisory that essentially drew a big bullseye on PRCs all around your state in particular.
That's right. She called them, fake clinics and had all these warnings, trying to prevent women from seeking their services. And it was really a smear campaign with no basis in the reality that we have here with, again, all these local clinics that are helping women, that have countless testimonies from young women who have kept their babies because of the help they received. But the Attorney General has a bully pulpit and used the state website to put out this advisory, which is really a smear campaign. And I think the reason behind that is not that pregnancy resource centers have done anything wrong, but that they are sort of the most high profile or obvious pro-life entity. And you've got all these people who are just outraged that Roe v. Wade is overturned, and they're lashing out at the most obvious example they can find.
And those statements by the Attorney General, she didn't call for violence. I don't want to overstate this, but it basically set the stage for them to go, oh, well, if she's going to say that, let's go, right?
Yeah, I mean, as the chief law enforcement officer, when you make statements like that are not based in any actual legal violations that you're trying to address, but that are purely politically and ideologically motivated, it telegraphs to unsavory actors, perhaps, that there's not going to be a lot of enforcement if they do take action. And a group calling itself Jane's Revenge did take action, unfortunately, and 4 of these clinics were vandalized, at least 4.
Yeah, give me some examples of what you saw at the various clinics around the state there.
So, broken windows, paint splashed on the walls, red paint, I think this looked like blood, and spray paint graffiti that says Jane's Revenge, the anarchist symbol, and a common one, if abortion is not safe, neither are you. So a threat written there. One of the clinics which caters to women who've already decided to keep their baby, and again, this is just passing out diapers and hand sewn booties and beanies and things like that. So very healthy, natural, good stuff. They had on camera 3 vandals show up. They had light bulbs that they had taken the base of the cap off, filled it with red paint, and threw these big sort of industrial-sized light bulbs at the sides of the wall.
Wow.
So not only are the walls defaced with the red paint, but there's also shards of broken glass all around the walkway and the entrance to prevent women from going there physically.
That's just awful. And I've been to more than a few pregnancy resource centers, and the people that staff them are kind-hearted. They're well-intentioned. Most of them, as you mentioned, are doing this because of their faith, so they're very engaged with this. They're concerned for women in their community who are going through a crisis pregnancy, as the vernacular says. This has to be terrifying for them to get that kind of response for the kind, caring work that they're doing.
That's right. I mean, a lot of the people who run these are essentially grandmothers, older women, including the one at this place where you had the vandals throwing the light bulbs. And she actually lives in this home. It's a converted Catholic rectory.
Wow.
Very disturbing. And, they're not making any money doing this. They're doing this out of the goodness of their heart because they care for the women in their community. To be attacked like this is really outrageous. And for the chief law enforcement officer of the Commonwealth to so far, not really respond, other than to have this initial call for these organizations to be boycotted or to be treated like pariahs legally. It's very troubling.
So that's when First Liberty Institute got together with you, and we put together a letter detailing what we'd like the Attorney General to do. What does that letter ask her to do? What's it all about?
Well, essentially two things. One is we want her to retract her consumer advisory and set the record straight that these pregnancy resource centers really are a blessing to the Commonwealth and to the women that they serve, and to acknowledge that. And then also to go after the people that are not just threatening violence, but actually committing violence against the pregnancy resource centers. Because so far, to my knowledge, no one's been arrested, even though they have multiple examples of security camera footage. They've got a license plate in one case. The FBI is working on it supposedly, but no one's home has been raided in response to this violence and these threats. I mean, what's been spray painted is a threat. If abortion's not safe, neither are you. Spray painted, at least in one case, at a home where someone lives, and nothing's been done.
You're an attorney. What kind of charges could be filed given the acts that have been committed? What are we looking at?
Well, I mean, it's definitely criminal charges for vandalism, the threats of violence. There's also federal legislation, the FACE Act, which was originally passed to protect abortion clinics from violence and threats of violence, but would apply to any sort of reproductive health facility, which these clinics would qualify as, because they do counseling at a minimum. Some of them do ultrasounds or pregnancy tests. Huh. So there's all manner of ways to bring the vandals to justice, and that's what we want to see done.
If you could speak directly to the people with the bricks in their hand and the cans of spray paint in the trunk of their car, what would you say to them?
I mean, where do you start? Ultimately, they need to know God, and they need to know his son Jesus, and they were all made in God's image. And that starts from conception in the womb, so that all of this work that is being done is genuinely done out of love, a love for truth, a love for life. It's not about taking away the rights of women, because there's, you hear the term, my body, my choice. Any type of pregnancy, there are two bodies involved. And so what these pregnancy resource centers are trying to do is the best possible thing for both bodies, the mother and the child.
Anything else you'd like to share before I let you go? I appreciate your time today.
Well, just that we appreciate First Liberty coming in and helping this sort of new coalition of pregnancy resource centers that are banding together to defend themselves. It's been a delight to work with First Liberty to bring this attention into the media, and to let our own Attorney General know that she needs to do her job to enforce the laws and protect some of the most defenseless among us.
We do have a lot of prayer warriors in our viewership. What can they pray for? How may they pray for you?
Well, I think praying for all of us here for safety. I mean, when you do have actual acts of violence and destruction of property and threats, we want to pray for everyone's safety. And also for the hard work that these pregnancy resource centers are doing, that they won't be distracted from that, and that women won't be scared away from going to these clinics, that they'll continue to get the help that's being provided to help them navigate maybe a tough time in their lives and bring new life into the world.
Okay, one last thing before I let you go. I keep saying it's one last thing. This is the very last thing. Give me a thumbnail of the work of Massachusetts Family Institute so people get an idea what you do all day.
Well, sure. We are the local associate for Focus on the Family. And so we've been standing for family values in the Commonwealth for over 30 years. So the sanctity of life from conception all the way to natural death, the dignity of natural marriage between one man and one woman, and increasingly fighting to preserve our First Amendment rights to religious liberty and freedom of speech.
All right. Well, I'm thankful that you're there. You've been doing this work for a long time. Appreciate what you do. Andrew Beckwith with Massachusetts Family Institute. Where can people find you online?
mafamily.org. MA is in Massachusetts, family.org. That's our website.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks for having me on.
First Liberty Institute is on the front lines defending religious freedom for all Americans. If you would like to join together in this fight with us around the country, you can support our efforts. Just go to firstlibertylive.com, look for the big red donate button at the top of the page. It's quick, it's easy, and thank you in advance from all of us. First Liberty is your last line of defense and your greatest hope for victory.